Well, the final day of rescue efforts in Thailand, of course, has ended in success. The mission took 3 days to execute, several more to plan, and as you just heard from Anna, was an international effort.
Divers, engineers, and other personnel from around the world worked around the clock to bring the boys' soccer team and their coach to safety. Former Navy SEAL Jake Zweig joins us now via Skype to talk a little bit more about this coordinated effort. So we were sort of breaking down just how many people were involved in this, Jake. You know, Anna says at least 1,000 people, and then there were a number of volunteers, and we really don't know how many people were involved in it from all around the world. Walk us through the process that rescuers had to go through to make this mission successful. It certainly felt like in the gearing up days before they actually sort of went in, it felt like things took so long to find them, to prepare, and then suddenly they went in day 1, day 2, and day 3 was the fastest of all.
You know, let's not underestimate the task that they had at hand. You know, at the end of the day, they basically just climbed Mount Everest and got down safely. An absolutely Herculean task, and they killed it. You know, the reason that it took so long, you got to realize they've been there for 9 days searching for these kids, and then they just found them. You know, they had to put the plan together. Obviously, you know, there was a bunch of stuff that was very dangerous in the plan. I mean, we lost a Thai Navy SEAL early in this process. So they slowed it down a little bit. They got it refined. And, you know, they put the mission together and they pulled it off without a hitch. Just an absolute monumental task that was pulled off by the special operations community. United States, Thai, you know, the rest of the world, the experienced cave divers from the UK. Just, you cannot underestimate just how huge this task was.
And to Anne-Marie's point, Jake, it is interesting. I mean, but you will know this as a member of the military, a former member of the military in the U.S. Navy SEAL, which is that generally operations go by very, very quickly. It's the planning that takes days and days and days and days to nail down. And then once you're in the moment, it could last a couple of minutes or an hour or a couple of hours, but it's obviously something that all that planning goes into preparing for.
I mean, if you look at the Osama bin Laden raid, you know, they planned for that for a year. The troops on the ground were actually, you know, in isolation for over a month, 18-hour days planning, and the whole thing took 40 minutes. This isn't much different. You know, they were planning for the last 9 days, 1,000 people, you know, the world's best were there to solve the problems. And at the end of the day, you know, the mission's accomplished. You know, we got to celebrate a little bit. You know, the best part of this whole thing is all of those people are quiet professionals. They're going to get back on their planes, go back to their country, and wait for the next bad situation to happen. And you're not going to hear a whole lot about all the superstars that were on station that helped these mothers and their families get their children back. And the rest of the world, you know, is now able to breathe a sigh of relief and go back to the everyday.
Yeah, and Jake, you mentioned this. We shouldn't forget that one former Thai Navy SEAL lost his life early on in this rescue effort. It's a reminder of just how dangerous this was. You know, we spoke to you yesterday about just what the rescuers are going through, and you talked to us about the dangers of cave diving. You're a former Navy SEAL. You said they couldn't pay you to cave dive. Remind us of just how complicated this is, how this is different than just regular diving.
So the biggest concern you have in regular diving, you know, people drown every year in regular scuba diving in open water. And most of the time, you know, you can surface from wherever you are and breathe the natural air that's around you. The problem you got in cave diving is you're in a cave and there's a ceiling and there's no air in caves. So, you know, that's the whole thing. If something goes wrong, you know, there's not many people that can hold their breath for 2.5 miles of swimming. So, you know, that's the biggest concern is you're just in an isolated space and you don't have any air to breathe and there's no way to get any air. So you have 2 or 3 systems to breathe on. You know, it's just a super sketchy deal.
And Jake, describe for us, our viewers, what kind of equipment cave divers use. And I don't know if you know the specifics of what equipment was being used during this rescue operation, but these are full face masks that cover the entire head, and what you're breathing in is not necessarily just straight up oxygen, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were rocking Kirby Morgans, so it's a full face mask integrated into a dive hood. with a big zipper in the back. So basically, you can't take it off if you wanted to. It's pretty fail-safe for the young Thai soccer players in that, you know, they couldn't spit it out of their mouth. They couldn't take the face mask off. So they were rocking Kirby Morgans on them. Then they got a couple different tank redundancy systems. I'm not sure exactly what they were breathing, but I would have to guess it was, you know, some combination of mixed gas. I know at one point they were at 90 feet of water elevation, so, you know, there's a little bit of pressure there, but I can't imagine they were breathing much more than just compressed air. You know, other than that, I know that they had them in 2 or 3 wetsuits because they were really worried about their ability to retain their body heat in all the water. And I mean, other than that, they had a harness and they had the ropes and they had communication. So they were able to talk to everybody in the process pretty much all of the time.
Jake, you may not be able to speak to this, but I'm going to ask you this question anyways. We're getting some news out of Thailand that the prime minister there has been speaking, was asked whether or not the boys had been tranquilized. That's the word. The prime minister said that they had not been tranquilized, but they had been given an anti-anxiety drug. I mean, it would be perfectly reasonable that you would want these kids to be as calm and as focused as possible. But maybe, you know, Jake, would that be sort of within protocol to maybe give them something just to calm their nerves?
Yeah, I mean, tranquilized is a little bit steep. You know, we're not out here shooting wild buffalo and trying to tag them. So they probably just gave them a Xanax, you know, a little sedative to calm their nerves. The one thing is there was 2 SEALs and a SEAL doctor in the cavern with them. You know, one of the things we do really well is look at psychological profiles. So they were able to profile those kids and know who was going to cause the problems. And then they, you know, they just give them a little vitamin pill that makes them just a little bit more easy and relaxed in the process. But they weren't tranquilized to sleep coming out.
It's a good detail. Good detail. Yeah.
Jake Zweig, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, man. And, you know, to the world, we pulled it off, man. Just an awesome day.
It is indeed.
Indeed, it is an awesome day.
It is an awesome day.